Marcel Moreau, Columbia High School, class of 06, levels 3 and 4.
Cool.
Kirk Roberts, Columbia High School, class of 06, level 4.
Rebecca Roger, Columbia High School, class of 05, and levels 4 in AP.
Danielle Simmons, class of 06, levels 4 in AP.
Danielle Cooper, class of 07, levels 2, 3, and 4, and I also stalked AP classes.
There you go.
Danielle Levine, class of 06, levels 4 in AP.
Desmond Thorne, class of 08, levels 3, 4 in AP.
Gregory Osborne, class of 08, levels 3, 4 in AP.
Justin Franklin, class of 06, levels 3 and 4 with 1 AP version.
Michael Hall, class of 06, levels 3 and 4.
Matthew Lee, 06, levels 2, 3, 4, and AP.
Will Turner, class of 06, levels 3 and 4.
Around the turn of the century, the first man to import the Stanford Binet IQ test, Lewis Terman, was a hardcore social Darwinist and racist. And he transported that IQ test, used it as a means of measuring innate ability. Meanwhile, it was meant by its creator to measure current performance. It was not meant to measure what you can achieve, but what you were currently achieving. And that same man, Lewis Terman, advocated the use of academic tracking as a means to separate Anglo-Saxon white students from students of color and students of immigrants, because back then Irish and Italian immigrants were not considered white in this country. Jewish immigrants were not considered white in this country. They were considered non-white back before the dichotomy between white and black became so crystal clear. And they were used to track for that purpose. And it was used even further to track into the economy in a particular way when we had a particular economy, where the Anglo-Saxon white students were the ones who were educated in what we would now call in this district level 4, because they were meant to go to college. But from its inception, tracking was meant to send the kids in the lower levels into vocations. It was not meant to educate them for college. That is when this system originated. In the 1930s, from the mid-1930s to the mid-1950s, academic tracking fell out of favor because educators realized it was harmful to low-level students and that it was not working. Then what do? You get Brown v. Board, and you get tracking reinstituted on a mass scale in southern schools. And in northern schools, what was happening in 1954? Massive demographic change. Oh, kind of like South Orange Maplewood, how we went from an exclusively white district to a diverse district. Well, we don't have the data, and people have tried to go back and figure out when did Columbia High School get tracking. I can tell you right now that if it follows the pattern that tracking has followed across the country, we got tracking when this district became diverse.
The pro levels 2, you don't really need to go. If you do go, you don't really need to pay attention. You can sleep. There is, it's active and lively. And the teacher usually can't control what's happening unless like you had like Mr. Whitaker or like Ms. Coop or something like that, which actually like engaged students, then like we actually cared. 3, it was like the good mix, you know what I'm saying? It was like you got that mix of people that like were in 4 and they're just like, forget it. And you got the people that like were in 2 and they're just like, oh, you're smart enough to not be in the class that needs to be babysat all day. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, 3, I feel like that's kind of where I wanted to be when I was in honors, because I felt like even when I was in honors and stuff like that, and like I was really just back and forth with a teacher. Like you had kids that are there like, yes, I got an A. I read. I don't really care about what I read, but I got an A. I don't, like, none of this is getting sunk in and stuff like that at all.
I came from Brooklyn, New York at 8th grade, and I went to Maplewood Middle School. And the way I was looked at was this ghetto black kid from Brooklyn, New York. And I was not that. I'm far from that still right now. And my teachers were telling me that even if you get an A in level 2, it would not equal an A in level 3 or 4. And that really messed me up mentally, to the point where it was like, I don't need to do homework, like you said. You don't have to show up in level 2 because, hey, your A is not gonna matter to the school system. So I stopped doing homework. Although I was still getting B's in class, I just stopped. And I got left back after that first year of being in Maplewood School District.
It's only some students in the district whose parents needed to have the time to come in and fight for them. I sat through my sophomore year math class, I think it was Algebra 2, and I was in AP Calculus my senior year pulling straight C's. And not one guidance counselor, not one teacher, not one anybody approached me to bump me down.
Coming in, I mean, if you was in South Orange Middle, you knew how I was. So coming into Columbia High School, my name had gotten there before I stepped into the door. So my first year, I was classified within their special education department. They classified me with a specific learning disability. That was almost a blessing in disguise, because at first it crushed me. Like you're saying, these labels we receive, you know, that was one of the worst labels that I could have ever received, because it sat on me, you know, like it was a little sign hovering above my head, you know what I mean? Made me want to put my head down and things like that. But you know, as I'm sitting in these classes, I'm looking at all the people that's sitting in these classes with me. They look just like me. Wait, get this on camera. Look just like me. You know what I mean? And I'm saying, you know, so-and-so just hooked up this computer program that I could play on my Dreamcast. So this dude right here could put a computer together, break it down, put it back together and things like that. My man Anthony just showed this math teacher another way to do the math problem that she thought was wrong, but he schooled her. But we the ones who they say, we need this extra help. We can't make it on our own. We need 2 teachers to get ahead here. Something's wrong here. Something's wrong.
That you're right, I think, about the behavior thing and how that influences how a student is read by the school, by their teachers, and how those like expectations. Are you a good high-level student, or are you a, we expect you to F up somehow, low-level student? Because I got suspended my sophomore year of high school for like selling fireworks, right? And the only thing Mr. Healy's telling me in the office. Listen, I got no comment on that. I'm talking about leveling right now. Mr. Healy's sitting there, he's like, I can't believe this, Daniel. You're a level 4 student. How could you do this? How could you do this?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here and I almost believe him, like, yeah, right. How could I do this? You're right, man. This is so uncharacteristic. I'm so sorry. And it's just amazing, like, you know, we got all these different codes for leveling, like resegregation of schooling, or 2 Columbias, or good and bad, or kids who have been to ISS and kids who haven't. And there's any number of ways we can talk about it, but it's amazing how much it builds on itself. And it's true. It's like not only its resources and whether teachers are patient with you. It's like, if you're in a top-level class, in my experience, the school's on your side. You know, I remember getting a lot of extra time from guidance counselors. They weren't telling me to go to ECC. You know, they're like, "Oh yeah, you need some time for this, that, the other thing. It's cool. We got you. We're your department." And I noticed, like, you'd see the line out the door, and I'd think, "Well, they got to get to the other kids," and they just wouldn't.
People have certain expectations, or low expectations for the students in these other classes. If you're not in that 4 and above, they're not really looking for you to succeed. And I can also recall going to my guidance counselor, telling her, look, I want to go here, Montclair State, I want to go here. Well, that was the only one that I really think about right now. But I said, I want to go all these places. She said, well, you know, Essex County, not a bad idea. You know, you can do, you know, your 2 years there, then you can move on to another school. And she was just really pushing this. And I'm like, yo, I wanted to call out her name, but I didn't. I just ignored her. You know, and luckily, you know, through having conversations like this, I got in contact with the right people, and they got me in at St. Peter's, and I did my 4 years there. So it felt good, and if y'all see this over there, it felt real good. But that's my whole reason for becoming a teacher, because I want kids that's in the situation that all of us went through, right? That we all know about. You know what I mean? I want to be able to take them out of that situation, show them, yo, you could do whatever you seriously put your mind to. And that sounds cliche, but you know, there's a lot of power in that. You know,